There are wounds that cut deeper than the eye can see. Not all scars come from accidents, battles, or misfortune. Some are carved into the soul by people who seem to thrive on taking, belittling, and controlling. If you have ever dealt with someone narcissistic, someone who manipulates your kindness, twists your words, and drains your spirit, you know this truth. Their cruelty is subtle. It doesn't leave bruises on the skin, but it bruises the heart. And when your heart is already fragile, the damage feels unbearable. You may have loved them, trusted them, given them everything, your energy, your loyalty, your attention. And in return, they treated you like a tool, something to feed their ego. Narcissists live for control, for admiration, for the power to bend others to their will. The more you cry, the more they feel victorious. The more you explain, the more they twist your words. The more you try to prove your worth, the more they enjoy watching you crumble. To them, your pain is fuel. And so, if you truly want to defeat a narcissist, you cannot fight them on their terms. Yelling, begging, arguing, these only strengthen their control. The way to defeat them is paradoxical. It feels like torture to them, but freedom to you. You take away the one thing they crave most, your reaction. The Stoics knew this long before psychology gave words to it. They lived in a world full of egos, tyrants, and manipulators. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, was surrounded by flatterers and schemers. Epictetus, once a slave, had to deal with masters who treated him as less than human. Seneca, advisor to Nero, lived beside one of the most dangerous narcissists in history, and yet they found ways to live free, strong, and untouchable. Their wisdom shows us how to reclaim power without cruelty, how to starve narcissists of control by strengthening the self, how to transform pain into resilience. In this journey, we will explore 4 ways to defeat a narcissist, not through revenge, but through silent victory. Not by lowering ourselves to their level, but by rising above, so high they can no longer reach us. To them, it will feel like torture. To us, it will feel like liberation. But before we step into the Stoic strategies, let us first sit with the truth of what it means to be wounded by such people. Because healing begins with honesty. Imagine Epictetus, born into slavery, enduring the commands of a cruel master who saw him not as a man, but as property. One day, when Epictetus resisted in spirit, his master twisted his leg with such force that it snapped. Epictetus, calm even in agony, said, "You will break my leg, and if you keep twisting, you will break me." The leg broke, but his spirit did not. What is this if not proof that freedom begins not in circumstance, but in the mind? Now compare this to modern life. Perhaps your narcissist was not a Roman master, but a partner who broke your trust. Perhaps it was a parent who never saw you as enough, no matter how hard you tried. Perhaps it was a boss who thrived on belittling you in front of others. The pain is real, the scars invisible, but like Epictetus, you can learn the truth. They may twist your heart, but they cannot break your spirit unless you let them. And this is where the Stoic path begins. By refusing to play the narcissist's game, you reclaim power. By building your strength, you make their manipulation useless. By walking with dignity, you show them that the fire they tried to burn you with has only made you shine brighter. Asterisk, if there is one thing that a narcissist cannot live without, it is attention. Your emotions are their oxygen. Your arguments are their fuel. Your tears are their proof that they matter. They are addicted to control, but the only way they can feel that control is if you react. This is why one of the most powerful weapons against a narcissist is indifference. When you stop reacting, when you no longer feed their hunger for drama, they feel starved. To them, it feels like torture. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Epictetus taught that what harms us is not what people do to us, but how we choose to respond. He said, "When anyone provokes you, remember that it is your own opinion which provokes you." In other words, the insult itself is powerless until you give it power by reacting. Think about that. A narcissist calls you worthless. If you argue back, if you shout, if you try to prove your worth, you've given them exactly what they wanted, your energy. But if you look at them with calm eyes and respond with silence, or better yet, respond with nothing at all, you've taken away their victory. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, lived in a palace full of narcissist flatterers, schemers, power-hungry senators. Every day, men whispered in his ear, hoping to manipulate him. But Marcus wrote in his Meditations, "I have learned to keep myself simple, honest, and indifferent to what others say or think." He did not waste his spirit on people trying to provoke him. He chose peace over reaction. This kind of indifference does not mean you don't feel pain. It does not mean you pretend nothing happened. It means you refuse to give away your power. You accept that you cannot control their words, but you can control your response. And by doing so, you make their weapons useless. Let me give you a modern example. Imagine you are at work. A narcissistic boss humiliates you in front of others, expecting you to beg for approval or defend yourself in anger. Most people would snap back or shrink in shame. But instead, you breathe deeply, remain calm, and simply say, "Noted." You do not argue. You do not explain. You refuse to give the drama they crave. That single act of indifference is torture to them. Why? Because they cannot control you. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus once said that the highest form of strength is self-control. And indifference is an act of self-control. You are not letting them dictate your emotions. You are not letting them steal your peace. You are proving to yourself that you are the master of your inner world. Here's the paradox. When you stop reacting, the narcissist often gets louder at first. They may insult you harder, try new tactics, raise their voice. They do this because your calm is starving them. But if you hold steady like a rock in the storm, they eventually tire. To them, it feels like screaming at a wall. To you, it feels like freedom. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This is the essence of indifference. To let the narcissist believe whatever lie they want, while you quietly live in truth. To outsiders, it may look like you are letting them win. But in reality, you have already won, because their poison cannot enter you. And here's the emotional part. Many people who deal with narcissists are deeply sensitive souls. They want to explain themselves, to be understood, to be seen as good. But with a narcissist, that hope is a trap. They will never see you as you are. They only see you as a tool for their ego. So your freedom begins when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop begging them to see you, when you become indifferent to their opinion. Picture Marcus Aurelius walking through his palace, surrounded by whispers, lies, schemes. And yet, in his heart, he was calm. He wrote, "I do not concern myself with what others think of me, for they have their opinions and I have mine." That is the model. That is the strength. Indifference is not coldness, it is self-respect. It is saying, "Your words do not define me. Your drama does not move me. You cannot own my spirit." So, the first way to defeat a narcissist is not by fighting harder. It is by refusing to fight at all. It is silence where they expect anger, calm where they expect tears, a steady gaze where they expect panic. To them, this is unbearable. To you, this is the beginning of freedom. A narcissist thrives where there are no walls. They look for cracks in your confidence, gaps in your self-respect, and holes in your boundaries. If they can walk freely into your emotions, your time, and your energy, they will take it all. And they will keep taking until there is nothing left. This is why the second way to defeat a narcissist is to build boundaries rooted in self-respect. If indifference is the silence that starves them, then boundaries are the walls that keep them out. The Stoics understood the importance of boundaries, though they used different words. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who may improve you, and welcome those whom you can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. In other words, Choose carefully who you allow into your circle. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. A narcissist will always test those walls. They will push against them with guilt, manipulation, or flattery. They may tell you, if you loved me, you would do this for me, or you're being selfish. Why are you shutting me out? These are tricks. And if your self-respect is weak, you'll crumble. But when your self-respect is strong, you can calmly say, no, that is my boundary. Think of Epictetus, who was once a slave. He had no control over his external life. His master could beat him, chain him, or command him. But inside, Epictetus drew boundaries. He said, you may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can overpower my will. That was his boundary. His master could own his body, but never his mind. That same principle applies today. A narcissist may control the workplace. They may dominate the family table. They may try to invade your phone with endless messages. But you always have the power to draw the line. This is as far as you go. Beyond this, you do not enter. Here's a modern example. Imagine you have a narcissistic friend who constantly belittles you, always calling at midnight, demanding your attention, never respecting your time. Most people give in because they are afraid of conflict. But one day, you draw the boundary. You tell them, I don't take calls after 9 p.m. If you call, I won't answer. And then you actually follow through. The narcissist will rage. They may accuse you of being cold or arrogant, but deep down, they feel powerless. Because for the first time, you've locked the gate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What he meant was that you are shaped by what you allow into your mind. If you let poison enter, you become poisoned. If you allow peace to enter, you become peaceful. Boundaries are the filter. They decide what passes through the gate of your soul. Now, I know this is hard. Many people who deal with narcissists have been trained sometimes since childhood to believe that their needs don't matter. To say no feels like betrayal. But let me tell you this, a boundary is not cruelty. A boundary is clarity. It is not saying, I don't love you. It is saying, I also love myself. Seneca wrote letters to his friend Lucilius, constantly reminding him that time is the most valuable possession. Nothing, Lucilius, is ours, except time. When you let a narcissist steal your time, your days, your nights, your peace, you are giving away the only thing that truly belongs to you. To reclaim it, you must build walls. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you build boundaries, you don't just protect yourself, you actually reveal the narcissist's weakness. Because they cannot stand people who know their worth. They cannot manipulate someone who refuses to play the game. To them, your boundary is unbearable. To you, it is freedom. So if indifference is silence, then boundaries are strength. They are the line drawn in stone that says, you may rage, you may mock, you may lie. But you will not cross this line. This is not revenge. This is not cruelty. This is Stoic strength. It is the act of protecting your soul, your time, and your peace. And that act alone is enough to break the hold of even the most dangerous narcissist. There is a truth about narcissists that few people understand. They do not want you to grow. They want you small, weak, dependent. They want you doubting yourself, questioning your worth, stuck in the same cycles of fear and apology. Because if you grow, you outgrow them. And once you outgrow them, they lose their grip. So the third way to defeat a narcissist is not to fight them at all, it is to thrive without them. To focus on your own growth so deeply that their words become irrelevant, their presence unnecessary, their shadow too small to cover your light. Marcus Aurelius gave us this timeless wisdom. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. That is the essence of growth, to choose the higher path, to refuse to mirror their cruelty, and instead build a life of strength, peace, and purpose. Think of it this way. A narcissist feeds on control, but when you start investing in your growth, reading, learning, training your body, nurturing your mind, you shift the balance. You become stronger. Suddenly, they are no longer the center of your world. You are. That shift is unbearable for them, but liberating for you. Take Epictetus again. Born a slave, crippled in body, he could have lived a life of bitterness, but he chose growth. He studied philosophy. He trained his mind. He outgrew the chains of his master not by breaking them physically, but by rising so high in wisdom that no master could reach him. His freedom came through growth, and that freedom humiliated his oppressors. In the same way, when you grow, you force the narcissist to face their deepest fear, irrelevance. They cannot stand to see you living fully without them. To them, your happiness is an insult. Your success is a rejection. Your peace is a mirror of everything they lack. Let's put this into a modern story. Imagine you're in a toxic relationship. The narcissist tells you constantly, "You'll never make it. Without me. You need me. You're nothing on your own." And for a long time, you believe it. But then something shifts. You start reading new books, going to the gym, working on your craft. Slowly, you build confidence. You begin to shine again. You laugh. You meet new people. You walk taller. The narcissist sees this, and inside, they panic. They may try to pull you back with guilt or threats, but no trick can chain a soul that has chosen to grow. Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live. That is your weapon." Growth is not about proving the narcissist wrong. It is about proving to yourself that you are limitless. It is about stepping into the person you were meant to be before their shadow tried to smother your light. And here's the most emotional part. Many people who escape narcissists feel broken, empty, drained. They believe the best years of their life are gone. But I tell you, this is the soil of rebirth. The pain you endured is fuel. The scars are lessons. The very suffering they caused you can become the reason you rise higher than ever. Growth is not just survival, it is transformation. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, what stands in the way becomes the way. The narcissist tried to block you, but in doing so, they gave you the very fire you needed to grow stronger. Their obstacle is your path. Their cruelty is your training ground. Their rejection is your redirection. So how do you practice this? You grow in small, steady steps. You build habits that strengthen your body. You surround yourself with people who lift you up. You pursue knowledge that sharpens your mind. You learn to sit in silence and hear your own voice again. Each day, you rise a little higher, and with each step, the narcissist's grip fades into dust. The irony is that you don't even need to show them. You don't need to post your growth on social media or announce your victories. Your growth is yours, but the universe has a way of letting your light shine. Eventually, they will see that you no longer need them. They will see that their words no longer cut you. They will see you thriving, and to them, that is torture. But to you, it is freedom. It is life. It is the birth of the new you. So remember, indifference starves them, boundaries block them, but growth outgrows them. And when you rise beyond their reach, you have already won. There is one thing that will disturb a narcissist more than your silence, more than your boundaries, and even more than your growth. It is when you completely let them go. When you forgive not for their sake, but for your own, and you release them from your heart. To them, this is unbearable, because it means they no longer occupy any space in your soul. They are erased, not by hate, but by peace. The Stoics understood that resentment chains us to the very people who hurt us. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." In other words, holding on to the pain keeps you bound to the narcissist. They want that. They want to live in your mind rent-free. But when you forgive, you cut the chain. Now, let me be clear. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was right. Forgiveness is simply choosing not to carry their poison in your veins any longer. You set it down, you breathe again, you free yourself. And when you do, you take away the last weapon they have. Marcus Aurelius, who faced betrayal and deceit in his own court, wrote, "The best way of avenging yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer. To forgive is to rise above. To let go is to refuse to mirror their bitterness. To walk away in peace is to declare, 'You no longer matter. My soul is my own again.'" Think about the psychology of this. A narcissist thrives when you hate them. Hatred keeps you connected. Hatred makes you replay their words, relive the pain, revisit the past. In their twisted way, your anger still feeds them. But forgiveness is indifference perfected. It means you no longer even need the story. You are free. To them, that is torture, because it means you have left their universe entirely. Let me tell you a modern story. A woman escapes a toxic marriage. Her narcissistic partner expects her to remain bitter, to talk badly about him, to stew in anger. For years, he tries to provoke her through the children, through gossip, through money, but she chooses differently. She works on herself, finds joy again, laughs with her friends, and most importantly, she forgives. She forgives not because he deserves it, but because she deserves peace. One day, he realizes he no longer has any hold over her heart. She does not hate him. She does not love him. She does not even think about him. For him, that is unbearable. For her, it is liberation. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Forgiveness is the final mastery. It is the proof that no one owns your inner world. That even the cruelty of a narcissist cannot stain your soul unless you let it. Now, I know some of you listening may feel resistance. You may think, "I can't forgive. They ruined me. They don't deserve it." And you're right, they don't deserve it. But forgiveness was never about them. It is about you. It is about no longer carrying their fire inside your chest. It is about choosing peace over poison. And here's where the Stoic lesson becomes clear. What is the greatest revenge? Not silence, not walls, not even growth. The greatest revenge is freedom. And forgiveness is the final door to that freedom. When you walk through it, you leave them behind forever.